when you've been doing your show as long as you've been doing it, and I'm sure you've made a ton of loot. What makes you want to do a podcast? Why are you doing that?
Well, my interest has been, I was saying there are a lot of people getting their information on the internet by getting clips of the show and that sort of thing. And it's clear to me that as the population is changing, I'm an old guy, but younger people are getting their information in different ways. They're going to the internet, and the digital menu has got to be readily available, and you can reach a lot of people that way that you wouldn't reach the other way. There's a whole population that's not going to watch broadcast television during the day.
Yeah.
And there's a whole population that's watching broadcast television during the day that maybe isn't in the digital space. And if I can get a crossover between the two and you can get a bigger audience to spread your message, then, that's what you're doing. My goal is to spread the message and get what I think is important to say out there. So, I'll shout it from the rooftops if that's what I can, if I think that's effective. I want to do anything that's scalable to get the message out there. And to me, I'm doing some different things in the podcast than I'm doing on the show. On the show, I've got a fact pattern in front of me. I've got a story. I got a family. I got an individual that's got a specific fact pattern. I'm dealing with that fact pattern. In the podcast, I'm not solving a problem. I don't have somebody there that has a problem for me to solve. I'm just talking to people that I find interesting, and I'm able to talk to them about whatever I want to talk to them about and discuss things like you and I are talking about right now. I think what we've been talking about is an important discussion, and I welcome the opportunity to have that discussion. And I don't have time to do that when I'm talking about somebody who's sitting there saying, I think my kid is on the precipice of overdosing or is really in trouble, and I got to focus on that. I don't have time to pontificate about such things as the opioid epidemic or the philosophy of pills versus therapy and things of that nature, because I have to give all my attention to the story in front of me. In a podcast environment like we're doing now, I can talk about things that I think people need to hear. I think if they don't have to listen, but if they're interested, it's there. So I like it being more free form and me being able to talk about things. I've been talking about what makes people a champion. Like I talked to Tony Romo right after the Super Bowl about, he came from Eastern Illinois University. It's like got, 9 students or something. It's a little bitty university. And he turns out to be quarterback of America's team for 14 years, set all kinds of records, and then goes to the booth and becomes a number 1 color analyst in television. Champion. Why? What is it? What do you attribute that to? I like asking those questions and hearing people talk. What do you say to young people about that? What made you a champion? Are you going to let your kids play football with all this CTE and stuff? What do you say? I like having those kind of conversations. Did the same thing with Shaq and Charles Barkley and different people.